Welcome back to another episode of Red Dot Comics Stand, where we talk about all things comics here in Singapore. I'm your host VNC, and I'm here today with my co-host Ling Ying and also Elvin, our very special guest. Woo!
Yay! Welcome.
Yes, welcome Elvin. He is an independent Singaporean comic artist and illustrator, and today he's brought a lot of his works to show to us, and we're also going to talk a little bit about it. So maybe Elvin, you want to do your intro to all the beautiful artwork that we have here today. Talk a little bit about it.
Okay, so let's start with this. This is Liquid City. It was a project spearheaded by Sunny Liu, and it's an anthology of Southeast Asian short stories. So I contributed a comic story in this one.
It's Eisner nominated as well, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Very impressive
Very
achievement.
important to mention.
Yes.
This is Badang. I don't know if anyone remembers it. It's from National Day.
Yes.
Michael Chang called me to do a story for it. So he wanted it to be more fun, so just do a bit of a superhero edge to a National Day.
Yeah, like we have a hunky Badang, very different from like some Badangs we've seen before.
Yeah, this is a very hunky and hot Badang.
It was quite cool because they basically had it in the free goodie bags for that they will give to every Singaporean during National Day. So everybody got to see Elvin Ching's,
Hunky Badang.
Hunky Badang.
I was watching the parade, I think the pre-parade, and then saw one boy reading it. So
Oh, achievement.
It's a great achievement.
Yes.
This is The Drift. It's a comic pitch that I worked with Kelly Bender, a writer, on this. So I drew his story. So unfortunately, the pitch, it didn't go anywhere. But it was really fun project to do, and I learned a lot from it. So he was trying to pitch it to overseas comic conventions. Yeah.
Nice.
And then you also worked on Lontar, which is the Journal of Southeast Asian Speculative Fiction.
Yes, this by Epigram Books, and so as she says, it's a collection of short stories and prose, etc.
Yeah, and comics as well.
The comic part was interesting. It was only introduced towards the later volumes, I think.
See.
Yeah. So they approached me to do a comic story for it.
Nice.
And then of course the
main highlight.
The highlight.
The main highlight of
your career.
Yeah, would
right
you
now?
say is one of the highlights of your career?
Oh yes. As of now, it is the highlight of my career.
Okay. So the Woodsman came out a couple years ago.
During the pandemic.
Yes, it's a pandemic baby book. I worked on this. This is my debut. Can say it's debut graphic novel. So I don't like to call myself a writer. So it's a very simple story, but technically, yes, I am the writer and artist of The Woodsman. Yeah. So released in 2021. And because of COVID, I couldn't do much promotion for it. But, just try to promote it online as much as possible.
So how did your journey as a comic artist start then? Because you've had like so many things you've done now, but how did you begin?
Like everyone else with stick figures.
Oh yeah. Stick figures, flip books.
Yes. I think my earliest memory is, I don't know how old I was, 5 years old. Mr. Fantastic, and when he stretches his arm, it's just one long line. That's about it.
Oh.
Basically, I was influenced a lot by comic books from my elder cousins and my elder brother. Growing up, so I read their comic books, and so I grew to love comics. It helped me a lot, especially helped me in getting better in English. Same as everyone, started from Doraemon, started from Archie's, and then moved on to superheroes.
Archie comics. I remember reading that in Popular actually. I never bought any Archie comics, but I would go Popular, sit by when they used to still have Archie comics. I just sit there and read everything. It's just fun.
Your first story, you just sit there and then just get lost in it.
Popular was my library for some reason. Yeah, but now no more, not a lot of books. But then what kind of comics were you reading? Because you said you had your elder brother's collection.
Yeah, so that was, the Archie's and Doraemon was the introduction, right? Then when I got really into superhero comics, and it was all kinds actually, a lot of DC, a lot of Batman. So as a result, I did grow to love Batman. But generally, it was a bit of everything. There were some complete stories, there were some incomplete stories. So I got a gist of the DC universe. And then when I stayed over at my cousin's place for staycay or something, they were more of the Marvel side. So I see more Marvel comic books.
Oh, so you get like your whole comics education through your relatives. That's cool. I can see the inspiration with like in your comic art style also. Actually, here we have a very nice X-Men spread, which is very, very impressive. I don't know how much the camera is able to capture, but it looks really, really good. You draw a lot of fan art yourself.
Yes,
also,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You've also talked about using fan art to kind of create parallel worlds, which I thought was quite interesting. So what do you mean by that?
I don't know if I actually meant I use fan art to create parallel worlds, but fan art for me has always been just tributes, It's more of I'm not a comic artist, but this is what I would do if I got that gig.
Artist.
But you are a comic artist.
Yeah,
I am now, but
are.
I don't get Batman. I don't get to draw X-Men, but this is what I would do if I was allowed to.
Is that something that you would dream or want to do if the opportunity arrived?
Yes. Yeah. I don't have it's so difficult for me to pin down. So let me start by saying that I love all kinds of comics. I've been influenced by all kinds. I've read manga, I've read superhero comics, I've read independent. I don't know if you all know Vertigo Comics.
Yeah.
Right? So
Sandman.
Unfortunately, the label has been discontinued, but the content, that kind of more for adult, mature audience comics still exists. So that's why. So my ultimate dream is, I draw a lot of superhero style, but I would love working on any kind of genre.
Yeah. Actually, it's because when I saw your art previously, I was like, oh, this person can draw the comic book style very well, like the superhero, like the high action style.
Yeah.
And then when the Woodsman came out, I was like, well, this is something different. This is like I feel it goes more into that like what you said, like Vertigo, like indie comics kind of storytelling, because it's very non-traditional. Like the character and like the storytelling is a bit horror almost. Yeah, so I mean that's why I asked the question, because I was kind of curious like whether you had that aspiration. But yeah, I think should we talk more about the Woodsman actually?
Yeah, now that we are on the conversation, I think
about
it's like now that we should start talking about the Woodsman now that we're talking about it. Yeah, because like I had the same feeling as you did. One was like, oh, there's actually not a lot of words, surprisingly. If you flip through the Woodsman, you realize there's not a lot of text. So you do a lot of the storytelling through image. So I'm wondering if your experience as a sequential artist played a role in, in formulating the story that you created.
Yes, actually, I am very influenced by sequential, as in animation, and moving visuals. Because I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm a cinema fan, anime fan as well. So that's why I say I'm all over the place. But then my chosen medium is comic books. So
I feel like that's the perfect medium. Really.
The influence does show. And actually, for a time, right, in my working life, I worked for an extended period of time as a storyboard artist. So that really helped a lot. And that's how I approached the Woodsman actually, and a lot of my comics, which is very... It's like watching a short film. It's very cinematic. So I hope that people got that from it.
Yeah, I think definitely there's a cinematic quality to the Woodsman. There's an atmosphere in the storytelling, which is kind of, it's conveyed through the visuals. The text, I like that it's quite minimal. It's the kind of comic book that you know some comic books, like there's a lot of speech bubbles with like a lot of text inside, and then you have to like follow a story. I feel like this one is almost like a bit of a impressionistic kind of reading experience. For me, it was, I remember I read it and then I started rereading it again immediately, because it was kind of like, okay, there are different layers to the story, and there's quite a lot of complexity to what is being conveyed, but you cannot get it all in one go, so you have to just kind of like go through and then go back and then go through again. Yeah, so I really enjoyed. I mean, personally, I really enjoyed reading the Woodsman.
It warms my heart so much, because believe it or not, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the Woodsman. So it's really exciting for me to hear.
Yeah,
Like direct.
actually, it's
Like,
I think
review.
because it's the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
so I remember when the book came out. Also, I went to the Epigram bookstore. Then the bookstore manager there, he was like, "Oh, we have a new comic book." Then I was like, "What?" Because in Singapore, when a new graphic novel comes out, it's quite a big deal, right?
Because it's so rare.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. We only get new graphic novels every maybe like a couple a year. It's like feature films in Singapore.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out that often. So I was very excited to read The Woodsman.
Yay!
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of sad that you didn't get the chance to do like all the promotion and all that, because that was like, I remember that was like the serious pandemic time. That was after Epigram moved out URA, and then they moved into the Beach Road place, and they were there temporarily. And
And then they
was
moved
all
from
like
Huck's Epigram to where they are now, which is Singapore Art Museum.
Yeah, because when I was doing this work, I was imagining like a proper book launch, nothing grand, but maybe I'm sure Kino would have worked, but pandemic, what to do, yeah. So, but at the same time, I also didn't felt it because it's my debut book, and when I held it in my hands, I was just so happy. So it didn't affect it much, lah. I tried to sell it as much as possible through word of mouth.
So we were, talking about the Woodsman, and then we talked about you reading comics when you were younger, reading Marvel and DC comics, and then you also mentioned being a storyboard artist at some point in your career. So I guess that brings us to the question, like, how did the Woodsman come about? What's the story behind the inception of this book?
Wow, you just hit a key word. Okay, I think you're asking what inspired the Woodsman, right? So there's two levels to this. One is spiritual inspiration, and the other one is actual inspiration. What the visual inspiration. So spiritual inspiration, right? I'm making it sound more cheap than it actually is. But
No, please.
spiritual inspiration for the Woodsman is the basis of the Woodsman is my comic book career. So actually the story came to me at a time where I was feeling quite down, actually, because I've been trying to break into comic books for a long time, as in more international comics, and so nothing was happening. So I almost wanted to give up comic books. So at the time I was like thinking, this is like finding an impossible enemy. Like an enemy that and a fight that will lose. So how do I turn that into a story? And as you've read, it is about facing an impossible enemy. Going to battle knowing that you will lose. So that's the spiritual inspiration for it.
That definitely. I mean, when you say like fighting an impossible enemy, I was like, like that reminds you of a lot of comic artists, that we've met or that we've spoken to. It's very hard. It's actually very hard to be an artist, and also like especially a comic artist.
Let's just talk about comic books, right? Whether you're an artist in any medium, right? It's so daunting, and there's like you're competing with a lot of talent. So, but you still go into it. You still go into the fight, knowing that there's a high chance you lose. Because the point is to try, right? Yeah. So then all the other inspiration is just sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You said there were two levels to it. You said there was a spiritual inspiration, and then there was like what actually inspired the book.
Thematically, right, I also wanted to include some LGBT element. So as you know, the Woodsman and his partner are a gay couple inside.
I was very happy to see that personally, because there's so little representation here.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to spoil it a little bit because I want to talk about that also.
I was going to say, it's so hard. I looked at the questions, the pre-questions you sent me, the gist of it. It's so hard to talk about it without spoilers.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I feel like it's been long enough to be able to talk about it with spoilers. We'll just disclaimer, spoiler.
Yeah,
alert,
we'll put a spoiler warning,
spoiler warning.
sticker on the screen or something like
yeah.
that. People can
Yeah.
scrub past it.
So what are you gonna?
No, yeah, I was damn happy to see it, and also very sad when, like, you know, okay, I'll spoil it. Yeah, so basically, there was the impossible enemy reaches their, like, the main character drifts home and takes away his, you know, his partner Farah has to fight against all these demons, and in the end, I was praying, crossing my fingers that he won't die, but he did. And then I was really sad about that. So I was wondering, like, actually why you were like, yeah, I'm gonna, after including the gay couple and the really nice family dynamic that you had, you made that decision to be like, also, okay, I'm gonna put that in as well.
It's strange. I didn't make a decision. I sort of, when the story came to me, it's a really short story, right? It's more an idea. The idea came all at once already, so I knew what was going to happen. And only after I did it and I couldn't back out the story already, I kind of felt very sad also. Oh no, I created another gay trope, which is the tragic gay story.
Oh,
the
bury your gays,
which I spent my whole life trying to avoid.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, I also felt like later on second hindsight, I have to stick to it because it is what gives it weight to him. It's what gives him the intention. And so that was about it. I had to stick with it because I believed in that it had to happen that way. But the funny thing that when I first conceived of the story, it wasn't a gay couple, it was a straight couple.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, then why did you decide to change?
Because at that time, right, I realized I just wanted a family, the idea of a family. And, you know, eventually he would face an impossible enemy. And I realized I was working with, what's the word? What was the term? Like, what society had conditioned to me first, which is the default is a straight family. Then I had to wind it back. No, wait, something is wrong with this story. So I should shut
Drift
up.
did not feel like a straight man.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love that you talk about it this way because you know it's true, like the way that stories come to you or characters come to you isn't what the societal expectation or norm is, right? And actually, as a writer, it's great that you followed your instinct here because that's exactly what I think like readers need more of. Just like unconventional stories that that are true, that feel true and are, you know, important to some to include in the literary universe as well, especially comic books. Yeah.
Because this book has so many themes, right? Like horror, kung fu, but of course, then I noticed there's the theme of I did want to incorporate romance and family. So, and you know, I grew up on Disney, and we all grew up on Disney cartoons. So there, I wound it back, and I realized, it can be a great romance in it too, but a gay romance. You know, I'm still waiting for your first gay animation Disney. Oops.
Oops. Yeah, I'm still waiting also. Every time they will have like, this is the first gay couple we've ever shown on screen, and they've done this I think like 2 or 3 times. It's weird. Yeah, it's like they'll have like one gay side character that appears for 1 second and then Singapore bans it. Sorry, I think we should cut that out.
I wonder if there's something
Singapore
small
is
I
not
can cut
banned.
out.
They will make it NC-16.
They won't ban. They'll make it
like,
NC-16 or they'll cut out the scene.
You're like, why is this NC-16 or why is this R-rated? Like you have like Avengers movies with like guns, people shooting and killing each other, and then that's PG-13 only.
Yeah.
What?
They're still being extremely, extremely cautiously liberal. Very cautiously liberal.
And that's interesting. Did you have trouble with the theme at all when it was initially published? Because Singapore.
Strangely enough, no. Yeah, but then again, I think about it now. Maybe they're not even aware of it.
It's both a blessing. It's kind of a blessing sometimes. Like I always tell people that in books, right, you can publish whatever you want because, like feature films or plays, right, the entire script or the entire content gets vetted by the IMDA. But books, they don't bother.
They don't, that's so strange.
Not unless you're getting a grant, in which case they are a little bit more stringent. But if you start doing independent work, they really don't care as much, which is a good thing. I feel.
I'm glad. Of course, I'm glad it passed through. I was just very surprised. I thought they would make some noise because this is not just a book; it's a visual book. So, but they didn't say anything.
Depiction of queer couple. I think it's important to have these stories and some level of visibility. I think we've started to see more of like these kinds of comics also. Yeah, and I think like we've also talked a little bit about like the main character who is so nicely, here on the cover, because he has 2 cats in this comic and you have 3 yourself. I'm wondering like, did you bring in any like real life inspiration into creating Drift, into creating the characters?
So I have a friend who is convinced Drift is you, right? Drift is you, right? You're the main character, right?
Oh my gosh.
I like to coyly say no lah. But the truth is that the whole book is me, but it's not just the main character. There's a bit of me in every character. So that's why I claim that I'm not a writer. A writer will be able to imagine characters, right? I need to be able to write characters which I can relate to, So that's why there's a bit of me in every character, even in the villain.
But I think that, as in, because the Woodsman is not like, it's almost like a fantastical story. So maybe it's the Woodsman is your inner. I mean, can I say that like the Woodsman world is maybe it represents or has some analogous relationship with your inner world? Because that impossible enemy, it's not something external also, right? It's something you have experienced before, like the art, the creation, the challenges of creation, the impossibility of like a perfect work or something. So I'm kind of curious, like, do you think there is a possibility that the story of the Woodsman, it's not a real story in a real time and place that we can easily recognize? Does it actually map somehow onto your inner world, like, your impossible enemy, your own life or your own feelings?
I mean, do I want to decapitate vampires? Sure, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to make a simple, fun kung fu fantasy story for people to enjoy, and it's the genres which I enjoy, and also to draw things which I love drawing, which is a lot of kung fu action, and monsters, but so. It's very difficult for me to answer because it's not a very complicated story, but yet, yes, the feelings behind creating it started out pretty deep. As for whether he is me, I think maybe a bit, but he's more like someone I would want to be, because the Woodsman is definitely more decisive than me, and he's more skillful than me.
It's really a kind of hero. I mean, it's a hero character version. Of like an artist, right? Like an artist is like the Woodsman, fighting their way through like all these struggles.
So maybe it's my alter ego or something.
Exactly.
He's a man of little words, and I talk too much.
Alter ego, parallel version of yourself.
Opposite.
Ooh.
I mean, like, because that makes it very interesting meeting you in person, because after reading the book you're like, like this is there's a lot of depth to the story that can only you can only have that kind of depth in the storytelling when it's based on something kind of real, but of course it's not based on you really, right? But maybe something inside you, So meeting you, I'm like, it's so interesting, like. I mean, you must have a lot of depth in like your own feelings or your own inner world that comes across in the story,
I hope
whether
it
you
shows.
realize or not. Yeah.
I mean, it's a step from just drawing fan art, right? So just to be an X-Men artist. But so I hope that this book shows another side of me, lah. By the way, the cats in there, my cats look exactly like them.
That's so cute.
You just use them as reference.
Yeah, and at the time this book was being made, I hadn't adopted the third one yet. That's why he's not in it. But he'll be in the next book.
Wait, okay. Also, really, completely off tangent. So there was this part in the comic where you had Farah, Drift's partner, being horrible at cooking and feeding the poor cats some of her horrible cooking. I'm wondering, it feels like a really personal and specific touch. So I'm kind of wondering if it's like, did that come from a personal place as well?
So we talk about opposites, right? So in real life, my partner cooks a lot for me, and he's a terrific cook.
I see. Wait, are you Farah then?
There's a bit of him in all the characters.
I see, like so jumbled up, But it's true that my cats vomit a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, regardless of the food.
Yeah.
Is
Cats
it
be doing that.
okay? Like, is it very serious when cats vomit?
All cats vomit mostly because of hairball, but
Yeah.
not often. Mine does unusually often. So I think he does have some kind of stomach problems. We have sent her to the vet many times. No conclusion, but she's still alive and healthy and happy. So that's all we want. But she does vomit a lot more than other cats.
Oh no.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
You were talking also about like her action-packed, like nature of this story. There's this particular spread that really stood out to me when I read it, like immediately, and I feel like that's probably the one spread everybody also kind of.
I think I can
Yes.
kind of visualize it.
Yeah,
I think I know what
maybe
you're talking
we
about.
can pick it up and show it also.
Can you find the page?
Wait, I got something better.
Like did you print it out?
Nope.
The original?
Yes.
We have the original artwork, you
But
guys.
I'm going to need your help.
Oh, this is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing pencil drawings.
Same. Nadra and I, we were chatting off screen just now before the shoot with Elvin, and we learned that none of these are inked. They're all pencils.
Yes.
Yeah, because apparently, like we were under the impression that because the black and white art, it's really dark. Like this is a reproduction, and we were like, oh wow, the inking's so amazing. And then Elvin drops the bomb on us that no, he doesn't work with inks. So I thought that was quite interesting, the way that you primarily work with pencils. So do you want to talk a little bit about your comic illustration technique as well?
There's nothing much to it except that early on, I guess all of us started using pencil, but the difference is that I just stuck with it. I think at some point, my mind just went, you know what, this 0.5 pencil is all I need. And I love working with it. So I think I describe myself as more of a bit of a stubborn artist. I just started using 0.5 and I stuck with it. And I found that it could do everything that I wanted it to do. Ideally, I should break into more tools, which I'm trying now. But for the longest time, I was just using the pencil, and that's just how it worked. Yeah.
What tools are you thinking of branching out into then?
Some of my other art friends introduced me more to inking, brush pen, and I found it very effective as well. And I mean, on top of because my love for comics and different kinds of comic art, right, really extends very wide. And I found certain artists like Ashley Wood, Dave McKean, who use brush, and so if I want to like, it got me very curious. So I want to try that style, and if I have to try that style, I have to use their tools. It's impossible to do their things, with just a pencil. So that's what also made me want to branch out more into it. Although to this day, it's still not my main
tool,
my main weapon of choice.
Yeah, your weapon of choice.
Yeah.
I love it though. I feel like it's very pure. Because in this day and age, like of course, like all artists, like comic artists, they are using all kinds of things in their art. They're using like AI, like Procreate, like digital brushes and all that. So the idea of an artist who just sticks to his 0.5 pencil, I love it. I just think it's like so. It's like a samurai or like
it's like the original tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Old fashioned.
No, I mean, I feel like everybody has to. This is the one tool that everybody gets to be really good at first before they start branching out. Yeah. So I think it's really cool that you kind of just stuck with it and said like, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah. But the way that you compose the elements on this spread was also really interesting, because that's what stood out to me. Was it really felt like an animated sequence. It was not just cinematic, but you kind of did it like a frame by frame thing. Like if you buy the book, you'll be able to see you immediately know which spread I'm talking about. I'm not even gonna tell you the page. You're gonna look yourself, but you'll know. So how did you why did you decide to do this with this particular action scene? Because we don't usually see this in like DC, Marvel comics. I find it quite original.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, this is the spread as my 5 fans know, so they know what they're talking about if they're watching this. Actually, I wish I could claim all credit for it. I can't. But then at the same time, yes, there's some levels of originality to it. But it was inspired by Frank Miller. There's this comic called Electra Lives Again. And he also does his fight scenes very cinematically, you know. So it was inspired by that. And as you know, this was late in the book. So this was a very epic fight scene. And I needed kind of like a sequence to show the scale
Like
of
a banger.
yeah, of what he was fighting. So that's where this came about. And this page particularly, I mean, on top of the other fight scenes, right, is my ultimate tribute to growing up with all the Hong Kong kung fu movies.
Yes, yeah.
I must admit, I stolen a few moves from each of them.
There's some familiar looking poses and moves definitely. But I love it. It's almost like a scroll, like the reading experience. You know, like going through the different actions and poses and all that. Is actually there's something very classical about it. Almost,
Yeah,
it's like looking
Chinese
at
art,
painting
right?
or looking at a scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when Viancy said that spread, I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah.
It actually stays in your mind. Like it's the content is very the intensity and the drama is very well executed. I feel.
See old kung fu manuals. It doesn't get more sequential art than that. So it's
Yes.
Yes,
this is like sequential old school kung fu manual.
Yeah, it's
oh my god,
wonderful.
now that you say it, I really see it. Yeah, like they have all the, you know, like when you need to learn the whole like what is it? What do they call it? The whole
Yeah.
move, and then there's like you have all the poses to be able to get it.
But anyway, tribute to Sui Hak, who provided the movies and inspiration behind this. Yeah, so there's moves from all his movies.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, you also have like a really exciting development now. Apparently, you have a new art rep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I recently acquired a new art rep. He's really nice, and happy about for it.
Is Next Comics? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's
Next
called
Comics?
Next Comic Art.
Next Comic Art.
Yeah, you can check it out nextcomicart.com. Yeah.
So they're apparently primarily based in the Philippines, and they have quite a huge roster.
Yes.
And they're slowly branching out into Southeast Asia, and of course they have signed on Elvin. So I think it's quite exciting. How did you guys start this process? How did he find you?
I found them actually.
Oh, so you approached them.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's as simple as just showing them my portfolio. Are you interested? And they were. So it worked out for both of us. Yeah.
That's really great. I mean, earlier we were kind of off camera, and then you were sharing with us like actually you've been kind of you mentioned that you've been kind of a lone wolf for a while.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that's like being an artist and the idea of this like community?
Yeah, and I think almost every comic artist can relate to this. Because drawing is such a lone wolf activity. No matter, even if you're in the same room, you're doing it alone. So a lot of artists can relate to this. I think for the longest time, we always work alone, and for many of us, we enjoy working alone. But every once in a while, there's this. We do need the studio concept, the idea of community. Everyone needs community. So to bounce inspiration of each other, to bounce ideas off each other. So that was what I felt was lacking for the longest time.
Like in Singapore. Also.
Yeah, I know a few Singapore artists, and we try to hang out, but it's tough. It's tough.
Everybody's a little bit of a lone wolf.
Yeah. Unless it's for work, right? It's very difficult to hang out on a regular basis. So for the first time, it's really strange. It's like, coming home, this is my tribe,
Like you're all in this together.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice actually. I think a lot of artists, like say those who dream of becoming a comic artist, they might have this fear that it's a very lonely or like very, I don't know, like very isolated path. So it's nice to know that in the comic scene also there's like ways to find, a tribe or like find at least like a rep, like someone that you can like navigate your career with.
And I think actually that's what's lacking in Singapore. And this is not a criticism in any way to anyone, but it's just the way it is, because Singapore, all artists work alone, and it's very difficult to put together a studio concept. I only say this only after realizing that Malaysia, they have a very tight-knit community who come together to work, even though they're doing their own projects. Then of course Philippines is very, very strong.
Yeah.
They even had this they once had this studio where this Marvel artists came together and started this studio for all the Filipino artists to work together. And Indonesia has one as well. So
Nice.
so
It's possible. Yeah. So why? I think Singapore, is it because we have a small population?
that's
and then
a big deal.
so there were a small population with not many artists to begin with, and then maybe it's hard to, I don't know, like maybe everyone's very task oriented. Maybe we feel I don't know, maybe it feels like a bit distracting, or even like a guilt, like you feel guilty not working when you guys get together, or I don't know. I also want, because for us when we started Red Dots Comics, then that was also the idea that we had. We were like, the Singapore comic scene doesn't have like a very strong sense of like community. And say like people will know of each other, but they don't know each other and they don't hang out. So we really wanted to create a kind of platform or space for that to happen, like with younger artists, and like, I mean, of course with much more senior veteran artists like yourself also. So
am I senior? Really?
I don't know. Do you see yourself? I feel anyone who's published a book, a full length, graphic novel in Singapore, it has, you're in a way, you're at the top of the ladder as far as what Singapore has to offer.
That's
and
nice.
you're inspiring the younger generation. Yeah, I think that's the important thing.
Yeah,
also.
you've published also a lot of work here as well. I mean, Liquid City has been here, and quite sadly, I think it no longer publish it lah.
Yeah.
Liquid City anymore, right?
Maybe when they have the time.
Yeah, but
This volume 3, we don't know if there'll be a volume 4. Right?
yeah, exactly. So in some ways, you were able to be part of history, because Liquid City was really like one of the few very important anthologies that we had for comics here. So I thought that was really, really cool lah. So you can definitely consider yourself as a senior and veteran artist.
I perpetually feel like a late bloomer, noob.
Oh, why do you feel that way?
I think I always feel like maybe I suffer too much from imposter syndrome, and also I feel like my career should have gone further than it actually has at this point. Yeah, but don't dwell too much on that. It's just I try not to dwell too much on that and just keep going. Yeah.
I guess that's the thing about pursuing like an artistic career. It's not a straight line, It's not like, oh yeah, I'll do this and then I get promoted and then I become the CEO of the company. It's very non-linear and it's very up and down.
If only it were that easy, right? It's just like, okay, I have the same regular milestones everybody has and I get the salary, right?
Yeah, so I think people need to empathize with that. Like to choose to be an artist is really not easy.
Yeah. And when I was younger, I was more arrogant and very entitled. But now at this age, right, if you want to pursue the dream, you just pursue it. You don't blame anyone if it doesn't happen or anything, But I do wonder, like as you said, right, why it is harder in Singapore. There are factors that are at play, with primarily the population. Yeah, and actually there is a comics community here. It's just that I think because of the I don't know what is it. Again, my opinion, not the gospel truth. Maybe it's the standard of living that doesn't allow them to support as much as they want to.
Yeah, I think that's very true. The cost of living here is extremely high. And then because of that, everything that you do must be very productive. Like even as an artist, like doing your own side project, when you have say like commissions or like paid work to do, to pursue your own like dream work or like your own side projects might feel a bit like difficult.
It feels frivolous.
I think a lot of
you're not being like productive like the rest of society, the way we are taught to.
And you can't have the best of both worlds, because I tried it in my 20s. I tried it in all my 20s when my energy was highest. I thought idealistically, okay, I'm going to have a day job, and then at night I'm going to draw my comic.
Oh.
Never happened because you're so tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not just work commitment, family commitment, personal commitments, a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, we've actually heard this from a lot of the different artists who have come on the show. Like for example, like Samara, she left her full-time job recently, and she said she really wanted to focus on this comic career that she was starting. Yeah, so I'm curious, like, what's your perspective on it there? Because it sounds like you've gone through it. Like, where are you at now?
Where am I at?
Yeah.
That's very interesting because I stopped asking that already.
Okay.
That's the dangerous question to ask.
Oh, I see.
Like, you don't, is it because you feel like trying to assess that kind of limits you as well? Or what's the reason?
Let's just say that I think there is a successful way to go full-time, whether as a comic artist or illustrator. But as from what I've observed, right, both from my failures and successes, right, and from other people's examples, right, you must have a business mind about it. That's why I noticed what the successful ones, they manage to handle the creative side and the business side very well. I do not do that. So that is my own path.
That's why you have an art rep for that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't want to manage the business side. You just want to draw. I think that's perfectly fine.
But then again, I see some other ones who can manage it and they manage it well. So why not? Yeah. So
That's true.
It's actually, this is one reason why I feel comic artists need to have more of a this get together and discuss more, because I think this is a real question that so many people have to cope with, and dealing with it alone is very tough, because your parents are not going to understand. Your siblings or your peers in other professions, they'll be like, they don't get it. Yeah, and then it's something that, and yet we've heard it many times from different artists that we've met.
Yeah,
those doing comics, especially because comics, there's an industry there, there's paid work there, but also it's how do you balance it? Very, very difficult balance for everyone, I think.
There's always a lot of questions about the business side of comics. I think everybody knows the art side fairly well, but then the business side seems very amorphous to people.
Yeah.
It's the people think that comic artists don't need to eat, they draw for, they just draw because they love it, and then they they drink water and
it's
eat
it's okay lah. All artists are poor anyway, right? So you don't need to feed them well.
It's very, very extreme for comic artists though, because the hours that you put into drawing is, not to say that other artists don't need to do that, but comics, you really one page a day, one page ink finish, color one page by 1 week. The amount of time that goes into creating comics work is super intense and it's unforgiving. If you don't put in that time, the results are not there and you can't work. So it's something that I don't know. I feel like we should maybe do an episode about this
the struggles of a comic artist.
Or just have an offline session. Just
it could be fun.
Peer support.
I think we can invite all the people that have been on the podcast and have a chat about all these things that we've been talking about, and also of course people, all those you're watching, our fans, maybe we can invite them as well. I think to wrap up the podcast, I'll ask one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm quite curious also. Because I actually see on your Instagram that you've started working on Woodsman. So dare I ask if you'll be seeing the sequel anytime soon? Yeah, because I saw you're writing a script, you've done the script, then I saw you started doing art as well.
I've to be honest, I've been procrastinating too much on that. But the good news is that I knew that if I interrupted the process, right, then it will never happen. So what I did was, when I first conceived of the idea early in the year, right, I just dedicated the next 3 months, just focus on completing the groundwork. So everything is done already. Script is done. Everything is thumbnailed. So at that point, I'm committed already. I can't just throw this away and say, nope, I'm not going to do it.
So you're saying you've thumbnailed the entire book?
I've thumbnailed the entire book.
Wow.
That means very close.
I forgot to bring it. I should have brought it.
No, it's okay. That's spoilers.
It's okay. We'll save it for next time.
Yeah, you gotta for the launch.
No, don't worry. My thumbnails, only I can understand them.
I'm very curious what your thumbnails will look like, because if your pencils look like this,
actually, there's some inside the book.
Sure.
At the back of the book, you can see some of the thumbnails.
And actually, if anyone's interested, you can go online on my Instagram. Early part of the year, I have posted some a little sneak. You won't be able to tell the story from it, but you can see what the thumbnails are.
Oh right, yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool because apparently you have really, really small thumbnails and then like the normal size thumbnails.
I mean, I gotta say, like, these thumbnails are pretty high quality.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they're pretty high quality pencils. Yeah.
You see, this is job hazard for being an ex-storyboard artist.
Yes. Oh, you feel like the need to make everything very detailed.
Yeah, actually, my thumbnails go through two phases, sometimes three. So, but the main phase is the first phase is only really just
The
scribbles.
unintelligible scribbles.
Yeah,
So that's where it's at now.
Doctor's handwriting, and then after that I go to the second phase. As much as I understand what my scribbles are, right, I won't forget them like 6 months later. So I need to draw them
Quickly.
much clearer in a way where I can immediately be reminded what I want to draw, even if I look at it 6 months later. So that's the second phase, much clearer. And then the fight scenes go through a third phase, which is the movements must be exactly at the angle I want, so they are larger. Yeah.
Wow.
So
So
that's my-
where would you consider Woodsman 2 to be at right now in terms of the phases of thumbnails?
Phase 3.
Phase 3.
Wow.
Phase
Oh.
2 complete, phase 3 complete.
Wow, good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, very
It
close. Very close.
literally is sitting in a pile. I prepare everything, and then I say anytime I want to start, I can just take it and get started. But the reason I took a break was because after 3 months of thumbnailing, right, my drawing skills had become a bit rusty. So I've been spending time doing fan art. That's why.
Oh, to like
Oh,
build
To
up
warm
this.
up. Yeah. And then along the way, got an art rap. Thank you.
This is great news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
very exciting. That means we soon have the Woodsman 2 to look forward to.
We got a
No.
lot to look forward to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And then you
wouldn't
can
say
have an actual launch for that.
I can have an actual launch for that. But I'm scared now because I don't know when it will be done. Because the Woodsman 2 is 3 times thicker than the Woodsman 1.
Oh.
And it's not really the Woodsman 2, it's just the next book in the Woodsman saga. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Exciting,
It's-
but stressful for me.
Quite daunting.
It's going
Yeah,
to
I can
become-
see.
It's going to turn into like Harry Potter. Like I don't know, the first book was like this thing, and then the last book was like
Goblet
Yeah.
of Fire. It went suddenly from Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire.
yeah.
That's so scary, yeah.
It was very scary. Yeah, all the best, Elvin.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
excited for you.
No, I want to thank you all so much because
Yeah.
in this interview you've asked questions which I don't know what to say. I enjoy answering. People, you make me think about my book in a way which some ways which I haven't before, and I guess it shows me that there are people who actually care about the book, in spite of the fact that I don't know how many people managed to read the book. Yeah, so thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm glad that
We
we
care.
could.
Yeah, we definitely care.
Yeah,
we were
I'm glad
excited when it
helped
came
you
out.
feel that way.
Yeah, and we're very honored to have you on the show.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you, thank you. Yeah.
So before we end off for today, we have a very special gift for you.
Oh, thank you
All
so
our
much.
guests can do an unboxing.
Okay, is my name on it, Elvin?
Yes, Elvin.
Ah,
A very special one mug.
yay!
And we illustrated, we drew you in here. Did you see?
That's
This is
me?
Yes, in your cap.
Oh my god! Oh, that's awesome! Wait a minute. Who did this?
Oh, Nadra. who
Thank
very specially
you.
drew this. Yeah, so it's very different from the regular one because this is the normal COMIXSG
Oh my
mug,
God.
and this is the special SGCC edition.
Okay, I don't know if it's off camera or what, but when it said I had an idea that I was going to get like a mug, and I was expecting this, and I thought, and I like this. I like this a lot. So I was like, yay! I'm getting this mug. And then they showed me this. Well, this is pretty amazing. It's an original mug, and I had no idea they're going to draw me into it.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. This is awesome.
And your little cat astronauts with you as well. Yeah, I hope you like the mug.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Problem.
Thank you.
And thank you to you guys for watching today's episode. So if you liked it, make sure you comment, share, and subscribe. Follow our socials for all the latest news on comics here in Singapore, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.